Welcome back to The Next Woman Up. This is episode 14 already of the Winsidr podcast. And Melissa, I know you are back down in Texas after traveling out to Kansas City to go watch the Big 12 tournament. So I need to know your thoughts on how the tournament went. Obviously, TCU lost in the finals, but also want to know what your take is on the court and the discussion around that all weekend. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked me. Look, it's like the players said all the right things on the record. Off the record, I can tell you their thoughts on the court were very different, especially those that have an injury history. And it was very slippery. I don't think there's any denying that. As cool as it looked, like for the championship game, I thought they made it look really, really fun and inviting. And I will say, and like this was kind of the conversation I was having with other media members around the weekend. Brett Yormark has absolutely done what he said he was going to do when it comes to the Big 12, and that is be different, be unique, be engaging, be viral, get people talking. And so I can't fault him for doing what he said he was going to do. I don't know that anybody could have anticipated what, I don't want to say a disaster, but kind of a disaster the court was from a playing surface perspective. It's hard, even though there's springs underneath it. It's hot, like physically hot to the touch because it's all lit up. It's very slick. It's hard to keep clean. There were some issues when you think about it in that high leverage of a position. So I would not be surprised if there were some changes ahead of the men's tournament opening Wednesday. I don't think they'll replace the court. But I can tell you, fans, donors, coaches, players, media, I think we all thought that maybe it was a bit of a misstep, but give props to Yormark for trying and doing something kind of unique and different. It looked great. Also, was a pain to shoot on. Oh my God, my photos look so weird. Like I was one of the few with a DSLR camera because I don't have 10 grand to replace all my equipment right now. And one of the photographers was like, good luck with that today. Cause I just got there Saturday morning, and on Sunday he asked me, he's like, how'd they come out? And I'm like, just so freaking weird, man. Like the coloring is so weird. So, yeah, it was interesting. Like, it was a great weekend. Kansas City does a heck of a job hosting that tournament. Crowds were a little bit light, but Kansas State advancing pretty far, I think, helped. There were still a lot of people around. West Virginia absolutely earned it. I was bummed TCU lost, of course. I was gutted because Marta Suarez was very emotional at the podium, was in tears and kind of inconsolable. And so I was gutted for her, but super happy for the Mountaineers. They earned it. They are a hell of a team. That's not a team you want to see in March. You do not want to get put in their bracket. They are going to mess some people up, and they're going to pull off probably one upset that surprises people that haven't been paying attention to them this season. But overall, really fun weekend. Really glad I got to go. Wish Frogs had been able to cut down the nets, but ultimately TCU is going to host, and West Virginia might get to host too, and that's a win-win.
It definitely is a win-win, and a lot of teams had a loss as we wrap up conference tournament time. We are, I guess, 5 days away from Selection Sunday, which is just bananas, cuckoo bananas, crazy as we turn around very quickly to that time. But yeah, we're excited to chat with you today, go over some stuff that happened from the conference championships. We're not going to cover each one in detail, but we have a few different subjects we're going to go over, as well as unveiling not only our top 16 as we get ready for Selection Sunday, but also our regular season awards. And, I'd be remiss not to mention that we also have a special guest joining us today. Utah Utes' own Lani White is joining the program. And, I put out on Blue Sky whenever Winsidr did a teaser on Sunday that Lani was going to be our guest, and said, I've spoken to hundreds of athletes, and instantly Lani goes in the top 10. And just because, we've had great conversations with a lot of people this year: Talia Scott, Nyla Harris, we mentioned, Donovan Hunter, Jordan Lee, Clara Strack, Gianna Neepkins, the list goes on and on. But I think just seeing who Lani White the person is just makes me root for her even more. Just, I don't want to give it all away. We have to make you stay and listen to it, but she is just a phenomenal player. So I'm rooting hard for her on the court and off the court. And let's get into the on the court action here a little bit. Melissa, conference tournaments, as we mentioned, took place. And instead of going through each one, we made our predictions last week. I think we did fairly well talking about them, who we thought was going to win, who we thought was overrated, Iowa, and a few other picks like that. But I want to kind of break them down in certain ways. So I have them broken into kind of subheaders here. And I'm going to start with one that I like to call standing on business. So, Melissa, to you, which team do you feel stood on business during the conference tournaments?
First of all, I want to say thank you to the University of Texas for finally getting my early season love for this team, after which they immediately started to play bad basketball. But I think that they came into the SEC tournament. South Carolina has been playing such great basketball. That's one of the deepest conference tournaments. We were going to see them in the Big Ten, one of the most challenging gauntlets to get through. And the University of Texas got it together, played great on both ends of the floor. And when Vanderbilt stumbled, UT said, we are going to take that number one seed that we're in the verge of losing, and we are going to solidify ourselves, and likely jumped into the number three overall seed, which is significant because I believe the one and the three are slotted into Fort Worth, and the two and the four are into Sacramento. And so if you're Texas, you want to play in DFW if that's one of the two options, and get the best fan support that you can. And I would love to see UT end up close to home, because I think that's good for the sport. So they played great. They played great basketball. They're clicking on all cylinders, it seems like, and they reminded everybody that they are truly a national title contender this season.
They truly are. They stood on business. I said last week I thought they were going to win the SEC tournament. And when you look at the other one seeds, it's going to be South Carolina, who Texas beat twice. It's going to be UConn, who Texas didn't beat. And it's going to be UCLA, which the only loss they have is to the Texas Longhorns. So, yeah, they absolutely stood on business. You love to see it. Jordan Lee had a fantastic game. It was great to see her talk her ish and get her buckets. ISO Jordan Lee, as I like to call her, she had a fantastic showing. But my stand up business pick, I'm going with UCLA,
Yeah.
just because how can you not? They faced Iowa in the championship game, and it was 96-45. That looks like UConn beating up on a bunch of Big East opponents there, instead of UCLA beating up on Iowa, the number two team in the Big Ten. So yeah, just an overall dominant performance. And I want to shout out them too, because last week we spoke about our favorite team to follow on social media. I want to shout out UCLA for their cheerleading performance. I don't know if you got a chance
It's
to see
so
that or
good.
not,
So
but
good.
yeah, Lauren Betts, Charlize Ledger Walker, and Gabby Hawkes just all did the damn thing, and we saw them celebrating post game with it again with Corey Close. So yeah, UCLA to me, they stood on business. They deserve to be the number one overall seed. I'm going to be revealing that a little bit later for our top 16, but there's a little spoiler there. I think they deserve to be number
Yeah,
one
I
overall.
agree.
I think you mentioned that last week, Melissa, and you know what? I'm on board with you. So they just kind of ran through it. They stood on business. Them winning was not a surprise, but there were some big surprises going throughout the conference tournament. So, Melissa, who was your biggest surprise?
Well, and this is obviously going to be because I spent time watching them and was up in the Big 12 tournament with them. But I really think that what Jeff Mittie, former TCU head coach Jeff Mittie, has done with Kansas State, especially in the late season, has been really impressive. When they get on the court against another Power Four basketball team, it looks like it's a body bag game from just the way that the players look. They are small. They are incredibly young. They're one of the youngest teams in the country. They do not have a ton of size. They don't look like this superimposing team, but man, Mitty had those women playing really, really hard throughout the tournament. And I think that this is going to be one of those instances where you look at a team, you see them like come on late, overachieve a little bit in the conference tournament, make a real push to play for a championship and earn an auto bid, fall just short, go play in the NIT, and then next year become a real player. And I think that team, if they can keep Jordan Spicer and some of these other young players together on this roster, they have an absolute chance to add a piece or two and be right in the mix in the top 4 or 5 of the Big 12 next year. And so I will say that fan base, not my favorite to deal with. The bench, not my favorite bench I've ever had to listen to for an entire game. Lots of complaining from the Kansas State players. Just gonna say that a lot of complaining. And TCU complains a lot too, but it's so rare to be by an opposing bench, like as close as I was as a photographer at the Big 12 tourney, and They were they're very much annoying me, but heck of a team. I think they're going to be a real player, and I think they're the team we're going to be talking about that makes a deep postseason run in a non NCAA tournament this year. And we go, ooh, this is a team to watch in 2026, 2027.
Yeah, it's nice to see them kind of have that off year and bounce back after kind of losing Serena Sundell,
Yeah,
Aoka Lee. So just kind of seeing them take the step back, but kind of not kind of rebuild, but just kind of like re-strategize a bit and bring
yeah.
it back up. So yeah, love to see that. Don't love the complaining, but hey, that's going to happen. It reminds me when I was at Oregon Auburn earlier this year, and there was a fan behind us. Just every
Ugh.
possession that Oregon had, it was like, watch the three, watch the three, watch the three. That's 3 seconds, ref. That's 3 seconds, ref. So yeah, it can be a lot sometimes. So you just kind of got grin and bear
Yeah.
it. And that's what the fans of Chattanooga are doing right now, too, because I'm taking us to the Southern Conference and I'm taking us to Samford, just upsetting Chattanooga. They are the winners of the Southern Conference with a record of 16 and 18. They have an
Jeez.
automatic qualifying bid. So shout out to Matt Wise for the job he's doing there. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2011, 2012. They love playing a run and gun style. 11th most threes attempted this year. I don't think anybody saw this happening though, and shout out to them for making because they're not going to go far. They only averaged 32.7 rebounds per game. That's 334th out of 363 teams in the entire country. So a great story and honestly a very very big surprise. I think everybody thought Chattanooga was going to win that conference and win that game, so shout out to Samford for doing that. It caused some chaos but not the most chaos that we've seen. So Melissa, I know we have some teams that we're nervous about, which we're going to get to next, but this could kind of play into that a little bit. So, who, whenever you're unpacking everything, you're kind of doing your always sunny, moving the pieces around on the board or channeling your Allen from the hangover with all these numbers moving around, who threw the most chaos into your March plans with her performance over this past week?
I mean, I kind of took this a little bit of a different direction, and it's partially just because, and you were covering the ACC tournament too, and so I'm using this as an excuse that you're not using. But being at a conference tournament, it was really hard for me to closely follow what was happening in the other conference tournaments. And then I was staying with a friend who has three young boys,
Mm.
so when I was not at the games, I was not having time to follow basketball. But I kind of went like with the conference that had the most chaotic upset along its way, and in a single big conference, just like what you mentioned with Samford beating Chattanooga. Now all of a sudden you have a team that you think, hey, maybe this is a team that can get in and can make a run or go a little bit far. I think that's what the Mountain West Conference thought San Diego State was. I mean, this is a program that was 25 and 5. It has some good history. Their men's program has made deep runs very recently. And so you're thinking, the Aztecs are going to get in there. They're going to make some noise in March until they get upset in their quarterfinal round against the number 9 seed Air Force Falcons. And you go from putting together a great season and winning a ton of games and looking like the runaway favorite to earn that auto bid to March Madness to very likely getting left out of the tournament. I could be wrong on that. I know there's still a couple things in play in the bubble, but things do not look good for the Aztecs of San Diego, and that's all because they got upset very early in their conference tournament by an Air Force team. I don't think anybody was talking about going into this weekend. Now that conference is still ongoing, so the auto bid has yet to be determined for the Mountain West. But always fun to see those upsets in those kind of one bid conferences, but also devastating to see a team that has really earned an opportunity to play deep into March or to get into the tournament not have that chance.
No, it truly, truly is. And now all I really want to see is just an Air Force versus Samford game
Mhm.
just for chaos in the tournament. I
Heck
think
yeah.
it'd be a ton of fun. Shout out to the mid majors. We'd love to see it, and I totally understand the chaos around the tournaments whenever you're there and trying to keep track of everything and with a life. And obviously we both have jobs too, so it was kind of hard
Yeah.
to kind of focus on everything, but we do our best. And that's why for mine, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna say that Alabama beating Tennessee was the most
Mm,
chaotic thing. So
that
why
big
was that?
ramifications. Great.
Yes, huge ramifications because Tennessee obviously they needed to show that hey, yes, we had a February swoon, but we're still a really good team. We still really deserve to be there. Losing to Alabama is not the way. No hate at all to Alabama. They're probably gonna make the tournament. Really good team. You know, competitive-ish. Only lost to 23 by 23 to Texas, but because Tennessee was not able to win that, now we're going to have, okay, those conversations. Tennessee is always in the tournament. Do we leave them out? Are they going to bump some other teams who we're going to mention here soon who should probably make it over them? But it's Tennessee. They went to Sweet 16 last year, came to Caldwell. We saw how good they were early this year. We gave UConn praise for scheduling them in February whenever we're like, okay, this is going to be great. So I have a lot of issues with Alabama beating Tennessee and beating them the way they did, and without Tennessee able to make a claim or a state or a statement at all in the SEC tournament, losing their very first game, it puts everything in even more chaos. And that's why I'm nervous that certain teams won't make the tournament. And I'm just going to flow right in. I'm worried about North Dakota State
Yeah.
because the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, they won their tournament again in that head to head. And now I really do feel if I'm on the selection committee, I'm making the case for North Dakota State to get into the tournament over Tennessee. And I know it sounds crazy, just the history of all of them, but it's because of things like that. I'm worried that we're going to see North Dakota State or maybe a team that you bring up here not be able to get in, or see Nebraska, who's on the bubble, Virginia Tech, BYU, those kind of teams on the bubble. But North Dakota State, shout out to them. And I just really, really, really want to see them in the tournament. Melissa, who's a team that has you a little bit nervous that they may not go dancing?
Well, listen, before we get into that, I want to kind of just drill in here on this Tennessee. Like you mentioned, when you say Tennessee is always in the tournament, like that's not a euphemism. Tennessee has
Mm-mm.
literally always been in the tournament. They have made it every single year that the tournament has exist. There is not a, I don't believe there's another program in the country that can make that same claim, right? So
There isn't.
this is one of the true elite blue bloods in the sport. But at the same time, when you have a landscape in college basketball that does allow for more parity, and you do have more programs that are saying, hey, we can invest a little bit of money in women's basketball and see results. And so we're going to do that. I mean, look what TCU has done, like come out of nowhere. Like it's accessible for teams to be competitive earlier in this sport right now than it is in a lot of other sports. I do not want to reward the teams that, yes, they play in the SEC. Yes, they have some big wins, but at the same time, like we need to look at these resumes in whole, not in part, and not pick and choose cafeteria style what we're going to use to select these teams. And so I love your pick. I think North Dakota State is one of those programs that should be rewarded. When we start talking about my pick in the A10, look, Rhode Island and Richmond both deserve to be in the tournament, like without question. And to kind of flow into that, Richmond is the team I want to talk about. And part of that is my Roomba decides I just told it to shut up and it decided to ignore me. So I apologize if you can hear that. But if we want to talk about, oh, the transfer portal is broken and NIL and all these things that are so terrible for college athletics, and we want to have a whole conference on it, then we need to reward a Maggie Dugan who stays for 4 years at a mid-major program and who represents what supposedly we think is one of the important values in college athletics, and put her team, despite the fact that maybe they underachieved in moments, give them a spot, right? Like if that's what really matters to you, if that's what you say is going to be important, then we need to actually, when a team is good and is a bubble team, you need to put them on the right side of the bubble over rewarding a program like Tennessee, which has, by all metrics, completely underachieved this season.
Yeah, I think it's a great call. And yet, Tennessee is the only team that has been able to do that. And we were texting a little bit on Sunday, right before the A10 game, just talking about, hey, we're kind of nervous about Richmond not making it. And just said, right now, you, every Richmond fan, me, we need to be the biggest fans of Rhode Island, because if
Yeah.
George Mason won that game against Rhode Island, then Richmond had no chance of making the tournament. And that's what's going to come up with the Ivy League too, for Richmond to get in there. Obviously, Columbia losing to Harvard was really, really, really big for them for their case to continue to make it. But for the IV4 that's coming up starting on Thursday, we have to make sure that Princeton ends up winning that, because if
Yeah.
not, Princeton's making the tournament regardless of what happens. But if somebody else ends up winning the Ivy League tournament, then that means that more than likely that North Dakota State is definitely getting pushed out, and Richmond's very likely not to make the tournament too. So we don't want to see that, because we love Maggie Dugan. She can ball, she can hoop, and there are a few other players who stood out too to us during the tournament play. Melissa, do you want to get us started for who your standout player was? And
Yeah.
just a spoiler alert, your pick is
Yeah.
mine too, but I'm going to talk about somebody else too and spread the love. But just know, if you didn't pick this player, she was going to be mine.
Yeah, and I've got to go with Jordan Harrison. She is so small. She's just so tiny out there on the court and absolutely fearless. Just a heck of a player. One of the smallest players on the floor, averaged 15 points, had 21 in the final against TCU, 3.5 assists, 3.5 steals, did not miss a free throw all week. I think it was 14 for 14 from the line in West Virginia's 3 games. That when you're going to play the type of defense that West Virginia plays with so multiple, and they played a full court press, but they didn't. It wasn't a hard press. It was more of a soft press, which is almost sometimes harder to execute well. You're going to do that. You're not going to be in foul trouble. You're going to play 40 minutes pretty much every game because your team is not as successful without you on the floor, and you don't have the depth some of the other teams. To be able to do what she does, with the energy that she does and the emotion that she does, and to do it so successfully. Jordan Harrison, I think, if she's not a name people were talking about before, she put herself a little bit on the map this week and had a great post game interview, and just the emotion that she showed. I think I'll tell you, I was going to say whatever West Virginia is doing, other teams are going to want to copy, but I can tell you what they're doing because I went very, very viral on Twitter this weekend because I took a picture with before they introduced the starting lineups. The West Virginia starters were on the bench and the trainers were giving them lemons and they were literally sucking on lemon slices. And so I took a picture and I posted it, and with the kind of like just a genuine question of why are they doing this? Like, what's the benefit? And I learned so much. Like, lemons are great for activation and they help with anxiety, and it's just kind of a focus thing. And then our friend Rachel Galligan was covering the Big 12 tournament, and she saw the post and she asked Jordan about it in the post game, and it was exactly that. They use it for activation and focus, and it just kind of sparks them into attention. And so I think we're going to see a lot of lemons on the sidelines during March Madness, and I'm going to be calling up Mark Campbell and be like, bro, it worked really well for them. Maybe we need to try it too.
I love that. I had no idea that was happening. That is fantastic.
Yeah,
And
like
yeah, I
a
mean, you
million
might want to
views.
tell.
ESPN asked for the photo. It's been a crazy couple hours for me on Twitter today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Mark Campbell could use that because I hate to say it, he was really got coached yesterday.
Hmm.
I don't want to go
Absolutely.
down a rabbit hole there, but his usage of
Listen, we
Olivia
could do
Miles
it.
there was
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. I know you have a TCU podcast, but eventually I
I'm
want to
gonna
get
have
into a
you
couple
on.
things about
Yeah.
that. You might
Yeah.
need to because he's a great coach. He was out coached the usage of Olivia Miles, and I'm really failing to see it with Marta Suarez. I'm trying so hard, but I have a lot of questions. She just does not pass the tape for me. So again, not a
Really?
TCU pot. Yeah, she doesn't. She does not. It feels like she disappears in too many big things. Her defense switchability isn't there. There's just a lot of little things that I feel like she's missing as far as being a WNBA player. So I want to have her on and for her to convince, like,
Yeah.
obviously I feel like I'm a nice guy. I'm going to be very nice to Marta Suarez. Like I don't
You
dislike
better
her as a
be because
person.
I love me some
Yes.
Marta. It's one of my favorite athletes I've ever covered.
I have nothing against her at all. I just keep looking. I'm just like,
Yeah.
there's I don't know what it is, but there's something missing there. So I need to get back once the season ends and kind of crunch the film a
Yeah.
little bit more because she's one of the players I have the most questions on. But yeah, maybe they need some lemons. I don't know. May take that lemon, make it into lemonade, kind of like Duke did with their beginning of the season whenever they were absolutely terrible and then went on to win the ACC
Yeah.
regular season title, as well as the ACC conference championship with its thrilling overtime win against Louisville when there were so many buzzer beaters going down. And that is why my player who stood out the most is Tiana Mayer. And she was just absolutely fantastic. She too had an emotional post-game conference where Kara Lawson came over, gave her a huge hug, and she was the ACC tournament MVP. Whenever Ashlyn Jackson was struggling, Tiana Mayer was there. Whenever Toby Fournier couldn't get it going in the final game, there's Mayer again, just kind of running the show. So for me, I think that she gets my standout player for the tournament play. But again, I would pick Jordan Harrison just because, like you said, if people don't know her, she's not a household name. Get familiar because she is one of the best defensive players in the entire country. She is a two-way player. Just seeing her give fits yesterday to Olivia Miles was amazing. Seeing her be able to switch on Donovan Hunter whenever she needed to be was great. She is just one of these standout players at WVU. Shout out Mountaineers. Shout out Morgantown. So we have a fun little segment plan coming up, and it is going to be called the regular season awards. We're going to be going over some of our biggest winners of the year: player of the year, defensive player of the year, freshman of the year, coach of the year, breakout player of the year, first team, second team All-American, and the storyline of the year. Before we do, I want to remind you all to please download, like, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen or on YouTube. as well as a reminder that we have senior guard for the Utah Utes, Lani White, coming up at the end of the program to talk about her journey going from Utah to Virginia Tech back to Utah, looking forward to the WNBA, and also what she plans to do once the ball stops bouncing, as she reminds us, because it does happen for all players. So, Melissa, what do you think? We get into those regular season
Yeah,
awards.
let's do it.
Let's let's just start at the top. And I want to know who your player of the year is.
Look, it's been a great year for individual superstars, and there's so many that you could choose from when you look at the Naismith Award finalists and everybody. I mean, there's a lot of directions that either of us could have gone, but I went with Sarah Strong. I think it's probably the safest pick. It's the easiest pick for Player of the Year, but she's just been so good. And on a really loaded UConn team, she somehow manages to still stand out. And on a team with AZ Fudd, who's getting so much of the attention and so much of the spotlight. AZ will tell you Sarah Strong's the best player on that team, and I think that says a lot about her. She leads UConn in every statistic that matters for the most part, including points, rebounds, blocks, steals. And believe she I had to look this up and I have to verify it again, but leads the nation in total win shares at 10.3 as well. So when you talk about an elite team, a true national title contender, not my number one overall seed, but the number two overall seed on my top 16, and a player that has still been so dominantly good on a team that's been so dominant. I think Sarah Strong gets the nod for me. But like I said, I think there's a couple of different directions that you could go. But and to think she's only a sophomore, just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely bananas and a wonderful pick. Like I said last week, she's the player I'd most like to play with just because I'm selfish and she does everything well and she will make me look like I'm a really, really good basketball player, even though I am not. And I think to me, it comes down to two players. I think it's Sarah Strong or Michaela Blakes. And I'm going to go with Michaela Blakes. It's very, very, very close. I tend to lean to the player who has the less stellar cast of complementary players. Like, and that's not something Sarah Strong can help. She's playing for goddamn UConn. What do
Yeah,
you expect
yeah,
is going to happen? Like, loaded up and down the roster. Michaela Bakes, as we said, she is not a one person show there anymore. Talk about Aubrey Galvin, the standout freshman that they have, and the just what she's added to there, and just that leap forward that Vandy has taken. And that's why, for me, I think she is the most explosive, the best player in the country. If I need somebody to go out and get a bucket, it's her. If I need somebody to lead an offense, it's her. If I need somebody to have a defensive stop, it's probably not her, but she still can hold her own on
yeah.
defense. So that's why for me, I don't think you can go wrong. You can have a co-offensive player of the year or co-player of the year if you want to say or Sean Michaela Bakes. I'd be more than okay with it. I just very, very slightly lean toward Blake's, who, like Sarah Strong, is also only a sophomore, which is just absolutely crazy. We highlighted what both of them are able to do on offense. Sarah Strong, of course, like you mentioned, does lead in win shares, but let's talk defense here. I am going to go with Jordan Harrison. You mentioned her before, just the job that she does in the Big 12, the job that she does for WVU along the perimeter. She is just one of the most disruptive players that I've seen. I think there are a handful of players that you could go with here. Um, I don't want to mention too many because I'm afraid I might steal one of the players you want to talk about. It's really hard for me not to mention Hannah Hidalgo, given the number
Yeah.
of steals per game that she averages. But just as an all-around defender, I don't know if there are many better players than Jordan Harrison, and I'm so happy to see her start to get the recognition that she deserves for what she's done for Mark Kellogg in Morgantown up there in West Virginia.
It's pretty crazy that the West Virginia has gone from JJ Quinterly to Jordan Harrison, and
Right?
these diminutive. I mean, Jordan Harrison. I just looked it up to confirm. She's 5'6",
Huh.
listed at 5'6", and JJ is probably 5'8". Like JJ's all and I are almost the same height, and I'm about 5'10". But it's pretty amazing that they found those players in back to back years that can really and have kind of like launched at the right time. And JJ is a second or third round draft pick who made the Wings roster, who I think will be picked by an expansion team. Spoiler alert for some of my wing stuff that's dropping on Winsidr hopefully later this week. But yeah, that's unbelievable what Mark Kellogg is able to do with those guards. I went with a player who plays a similar role, but I went with Raven Johnson. And I even told you before we recorded, I was like, I think Michael's going to go with Raven Johnson. So I was ready with some backups. So you're like, no, I'm going to go with Jordan. You go with Raven. But we do have, much like Jordan Harrison is the head of the snake for West Virginia, much like Donovan Hunter is the head of the snake for TCU, when you look at these elite defensive teams, it's because they have incredible ball pressure at the top. And
Mhm.
South Carolina is one of the best defensive teams in the country, and they are so relentless. And you mentioned Hannah Hidalgo, and she gets a ton of steals, but a lot of her steals come with her taking chances that put her teammates in bad positions. Whereas I think Raven, who is has one of the highest steal percentages in the nation as well, but she does it in a much less risky way and still is as effective. Her high IQ lets her jump passing lanes. She's super handsy, super quick. She can knock balls away, loosen things up, and just does a lot of things well for a team that is consistently one of the best defensive teams in the country. And so another player that she's putting up really good offensive stats this year. She's improved pretty much across the board in that regard. But more importantly, she's improving her offensive stats while also being among the most impactful defenders in the country. And so another guard that's not super big. I think we love these little water bug guards out there. But I think she's a player that coming into the year maybe was a fringe, WNBA fringe pro, and I think she's shown she can do enough on both ends of the floor that she has a chance to be an impactful player at the next level.
She really does. You mentioned her offense taking that next leap. That's really what sold it for me to making her, I think, like if my 15th overall player on our
Yeah.
last big board, which spoiler alert, we're going to be updating that very, very soon.
Yeah.
As soon as we figure out what the hell's going on, because when this releases, this is going to be March 10th, which is the
Yeah.
so-called deadline for the WNBA and
Yep.
WNBA Players Association. So we will see what happens because it is not going to be a jog. It is going to be a damn sprint to get to the beginning of the season to see what the hell's going on there. So love that pick. We'll definitely be seeing Raven Johnson at the next level. And we'll be seeing these players in the next level too. I have no doubt about it, but it's going to take a few years here because we're looking at some freshmen of the year. And Melissa, I'm just going to let you know we have the same pick here. And I think
Okay.
it's universal. You can shout out Aaliyah Chavez, absolutely. Aubrey Galvin at Vandy. We already talked about her. Amazing player as well, but it's Jazzy Davidson. I don't know
Yeah.
how you can kind of go any other way there. She just kind of does every little thing there for USC as she's keeping them afloat while Juju Watkins is out. Sorry,
Wow.
my dog just busted through the door at this the very
Yep.
same time. I feel
Had
like
the
the
same
person who
problem
said
earlier.
instead of Caitlin Clark, he said Caitlin Smith. I believe that was Bruce Pearl. So
Yeah.
I never ever want to be compared to him before.
Nope.
But Juju is who I'm talking about here, and Jazzy Davidson has done a fantastic job kind of filling in. Her usage rank in the 97th percentile in all of college basketball, which is a lot to take on for a freshman, but we know a few players can handle it, and she's one of them. So, yeah, I think Jazzy's going to be your pick too, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about her.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jazzy is so special, and what we've seen her. It's very rare that you see a freshman come in and be so impactful. And she had to be when Juju went down. She had to be the number one on that team, and she really seemed to take on that pressure and handle it with such grace and such class and such tenacity too. So
Mhm.
she is a special player. I cannot wait till we get the opportunity to hopefully see those two on the floor together a year from now. But I'm really glad that you shouted out Aaliyah Chavez and Aubrey Galvin too. I just think it's been a year where we've had so many incredible freshmen and sophomore performers, and it's really wild to see these young women arrive so ready to play at a high level as young as they are. We talked about Kansas State and how young they are and some of their freshmen that have been impactful. I look at TCU and Clara Bielfeld, who's really starting to come on. Like it's different seeing a rookie perform at a high level in the W versus a freshman perform at a high level in college, especially when we still have like 23 and 24-year-olds playing, and some of these 17 and
Yeah.
18-year-old kids are jumping in and just playing winning basketball. So Jazzy is the best freshman in the country. But the cool thing is she's got a lot of company, and she's going to build a really special group that's going to make the next 3 years a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, she really will. They are a blast. I cannot wait to see Juju back next year. Her and Jazzy are going to be very special, going to be turning a lot of heads, just like our coach of the year did this year too. I think we might have the same pick again here, so I'll let you go ahead and lead it off this time here, and then we can mention
Yeah.
the honorable mentions
Honorable
as well.
mentions.
But
Yeah.
I feel like it
Shay
goes down to one
Ralph.
player. Exactly, it
Yeah,
has to be Shea Ralph,
it
right,
has
from
to be Shay
Vandy.
Ralph. Yeah, it's and again, like I think this for the same reason that you can make such a strong argument that Vanderbilt, that Michaela Blakes is the best player this year because she elevated a program so high. I don't want to spoil my breakout player of the year nominee, but when you look at just what Vanderbilt was a season ago to what Vanderbilt is today, and doing it with a sophomore superstar in Michaela Blakes, but then also taking that supporting cast. And like you said, Michaela Blakes did more with less than some of the
Hmm.
other nominees for the best player of the year. But that's also because Shea Ralph really put together a system that would highlight Michaela Blakes, but also allow other players to shine. And that to me is most, it's really easy to have one super elite player and win games in an A10 or a Mountain West or a WAC or something. If you have one great player, you can be very, very successful. But when you have one great player in the SEC, you really have to get the rest of that team ready to play. And there have been games where teams are double and triple and quadruple teaming Michaela Blake's, and Shea Ralph has been able to scheme up ways to get other players to help them win games. So it feels like they're coming off such a disappointment that you're kind of like, Vandy, this is still a 2 seed that has a super elite player. And when you get into some of these deep March games, it's going to be really hard to take her away. And I think what we're going to see is some of these other players, including Aubrey Galvin, really step up in some of these big games. And so credit to Shea Ralph, who has just done a tremendous job at Vanderbilt. Even if the last time we saw her maybe wasn't her best look. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
yeah, we're just gonna ignore that. We'll
Yeah.
look at the regular season there for that.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think you said it all. It's Shea Ralph to me, especially doing it in the SEC against all those top teams, showing that she does belong, showing that her team is now here to stay, and of course, being able to do that in a really kick-ass basketball court that they
Yeah.
get to call home.
Yeah.
A
So
couple
cool.
other coaches we'll shout out here too. Of course, it's so funny that I've become the Duke person on this
Yeah,
podcast
it
because
really
I grew
is.
up hating Duke. I could not
Yeah,
stand them at all. But shout out Carol Lawson. I think she deserves it for the turnaround that she
absolutely.
had, as well as Tammy Reese. You shouted her out too. Way to go, Rhode Island. And lastly, I'm going to say Jeff Waltz because to me, he's just still one
Absolutely.
of the best coaches just to watch the way that he was able to scheme yesterday for Duke and just always, always, always come up with a new innovative way to kind of counter punch the opposition. So shout out to all them, but it's Shea Ralph for me. So
Yeah.
we have a couple more awards here. We have the breakout player, first team, second team, which I want to save those for last, and then the
Okay.
storyline of the year. So Melissa, who is your breakout player of the year? I know you already kind of alluded to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Michaela Blake's. Again, it's not like she was invisible a season ago. It's not like people
Two
weren't talking
50-point
about
games. I
her.
mean,
But
yeah.
yeah, but when you go from being a really good player as a freshman to one of the best players in the country as a sophomore, and the reason that you've elevated isn't just because you've improved your stats across the board, which she certainly has, but you've turned your team into a true title contender. That is worth talking about. And I said I was just looking it up here to see. A year ago she was averaging over 23 points a game. She's only averaging 27, not a giant leap by any stretch of the imagination. Her turnover numbers are about the same. Her shooting percentages are pretty much the same across the board. Like there hasn't been a massive change statistically, but what there has been a massive change is winning. And when you go from being, like we said, a great player, a stat filler on a team to a winner, you deserve recognition and you are breaking out. And so, again, there's a lot of players that we could look at. You can look at, I mean, even a Madison Booker, who I think really put herself out there this year and improved a ton. I mean, you can look at Hannah Hidalgo, who was a known quantity, but is literally dragging the corpse of Notre Dame basketball across the finish line here into March. There are plenty of players that have had really outstanding seasons that we maybe didn't expect to be this good, but I don't think anybody really puts a candle to Michaela Blake's when you talk about just not individual success, but overall team success. And she is 100% the reason for that, with some help from our coach of the year as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with that. Obviously, she's my player of the year, so I'm all on board that. I think there are other players you can look at, such as like a Kiki Rice really coming out,
Yeah.
Gabby Hawkes coming out. But my pick there is Jelani Cambridge.
Hmm.
Just seeing the leap that she's taken from her freshman year to sophomore year, going up from 15.4 points a game to 22.8, 5.7 win shares. And my favorite thing is that she's doing it with a similar usage rate. Last year, she had a 30.6 usage rate. This year, she has a 32.6 usage rate. And her effective field goal percentage has increased from 46.3% to 52.8%. She is just a player who has come on as this season has gone on. She was making some noise in the non-conference play, but is really when conference play started that she really started to break out. If you remember, we had Thomas Costello here from SB Nation, also known as Holy
Land
Land.
grant, Holy Land.
Land Grant Holy Land, shout out Thomas, did a great job covering everything Big Ten tournament up there in Indy. And we kind of asked him about both the Cambridge sisters, and Jelani has just taken off. She is electric, also just a sophomore, so cannot wait to see what the future holds in store for her at Ohio State. Melissa, before we get to our first team and second team All-Americans, let's talk about storylines of the year. I'm going to go with, maybe not a surprise to anybody, the Duke Blue Devils, the
Yeah.
turnaround that Kara Lawson had with her program, looking like, oh, are they going to be on the bubble? Are they going to be able to make the tournament? Not living up to expectations, to just going on a huge 17-game winning streak to be the ACC regular season champions as well as the ACC tournament champions. Just that turnaround there, being able to see Duke pull it all together after looking like they had some serious questions to ask. And I don't know, whatever was haunting them at the beginning of the season, if it went up there and started haunting Kim Caldwell and Tennessee Volunteers, maybe it did. But yeah, Duke's turnaround to me was the storyline of the year. Melissa, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of directions you can go. I love the Duke pick because I mean, I won't forget talking about them in November versus talking about them today, right? I mean, they've come a long
Right.
way. But there are a couple of directions I wanted to go. I thought about the Big Ten and how it's arguably the best basketball conference in the country this year, or at least is in the conversation where I think it's been a runaway SEC, and how realignment really impacted that. When you look at UCLA and how good they are, when you see what Washington, I think had some really great moments. Oregon had some
Mhm.
big wins, your Oregon Ducks, and then obviously USC too. And so it's been interesting to see how realignment has impacted the sports we don't think about outside of football all of the time when we think about what realignment means. The can UConn go wire to wire? It's been 10 years since
Yep.
UConn had an undefeated national championship season. They're obviously coming off of a national championship, but not talked about maybe in the same breathlessness that we talk about UCLA and Texas and SC. And then of course they have to, go through a conference season in the Big East where they're just not getting challenged, and no, they're not talking, so we take them for granted. So be interesting to see what their tournament run looks like. But at the end of the day, to me, and we've talked about a couple of them, it's the sophomore sensations, and it's the sophomore class that has been so good, led by Michaela Blakes. Led by the sophomores at Michigan that have been so outstanding, and these second year players that have all seemed to take such a leap and look like they're going to put women's college basketball in really, really good hands for the next few years. And that's been a ton of fun to see. Well, Sarah Strong, also just a sophomore. I mean, this is a really great class of athletes that I think is going to give us some really outstanding basketball here over the course of the next couple of years.
I think they will. And that kind of takes us to our first team and second team All American. I know they go third team. I kept it just first team, second
Yeah.
team, but it was really, really hard to limit it down. To me, there were 8 players who were very clear had to be on one of the two teams. And then it was just kind of like, all right, kind of pick your preference there. So, Melissa, I shouldn't be shocked because I think this is going to be kind of unanimous as we move forward. But our first team All Americans are exactly the same.
Are
It's
they
the second
really good?
team. Second team, we have some
Okay.
some different players in there, so that's good. But yeah, do you want to unveil our first team All
Yeah,
American?
let's do it. I'm going to start with my homer, but it's not a homer because she's already a first teamer from the Athletic, and you have her on your first team too. I saw a lot on Twitter after TCU's loss last night, just pooping on Olivia Miles, and it made me really angry. Not just because I am a homer, but also, my God, man, like if you don't think Olivia Miles is worthy of being an All American and is one of the top five, or even like if she's not going to be a unanimous first teamer, she's going to be on everybody's second team, and she's probably the first one off that first team. What she's done this season is incredible. TCU, has 5 losses this year. They won the regular season, the Big 12. They made it to the Big 12 tournament final. They had, a couple of head scratching losses, but at the end of the day, they're going to be hosting in Fort Worth. This is a program that was nothing,
Hmm.
the last couple of years. Post COVID, they really, really struggled. Like Reagan Peebly had this team on the verge of an NCAA tournament appearance in 2020 before everything shut down, and then they fell off the face of the earth. And for Olivia Miles to come in with 10 new players on that TCU roster and take this team right back to where Haley Van Lith took them a year ago, I think it's going
Yep.
very underappreciated. There's some flaws in her game. I want her to cut down the turnovers and stop fouling so dang much, Liv. But at the end of the day, she's a joy to watch. She's a joy to cover. She has incredibly high basketball IQ. She brings a flash to the game that we need in women's basketball. And she has taken TCU right back to where they were when no one was sure that she could.
Fantastic pick there. Yeah, she was on mine too. She's the only one I think that people could say, hey, maybe she doesn't belong in the first one. She'd be the first person off. I completely agree with you. And yeah, the other two players that we obviously have to cover are players of the year, Michaela Blakes and Sarah Strong. To me,
Yeah.
unanimous. First team have to be there. But then it gets kind of interesting. You can make cases for a bunch of players, but we are both kind of simpatico, if you will, that Madison Booker and Lauren Betts both belong on that first team. And if people hear us talk about Lauren Betts, they'll think that we're not Lauren Betts fans because we think we're not sure how her game will translate, and maybe she should be fourth or fifth overall instead. We like Lauren Betts. Like you said, the more film that's out there, the more you can pick apart. But that doesn't change anything that she was dominant again on both sides of the ball. A fantastic defensive presence for that undefeated UCLA team, which I believe Marissa and Jemmy just wrote an article where the quote was, "We're the Pac-12 All-Stars." And it's kind of funny to see it that way because they really, really are. And shout out to the Pac-12, always in forever Pac-12 after dark. But yes, Lauren Betts belongs on there as well as Madison Booker on a team look with Rory Harmon, with Jordan Lee, with Aaliyah Crump, with Brianna Preston. Madison Booker just stands out as the leader of there. They were showing yesterday during the game just the way that Vic just turns over the game to Madison during
Yeah.
timeouts, let her be that new leader that they need. And I've never felt more sure about anything in my life than when Madison Booker pulls up from the corner for the mid range jumper. It's beautiful seeing with her turnaround, Jay. She is just an amazing, amazing player. I'm so happy we get to see her for another year at the collegiate level. So that first team All American again is Olivia Miles, Michaela Blakes, Madison Booker, Lauren Betts, and Sarah Strong. Melissa, I'm looking at your second team All American right here. We have three players who are the same, two are different.
Okay.
Do you want to guess which ones that we have are the same, or do you want to kind of just go through them one on one?
Let's guess the same. And I'm gonna say the first one that I'm sure we both have is AZ Fudd.
We both have AZ Fudd on there. That's the one player I think you can make an argument because
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're just going to be tied to each other their entire career. It's going to be AZ Fudd and Olivia Miles. Just with the WNBA draft, it's like, oh, which one should go before the other one? But yes, I do have AZ Fudd there as a unanimous second team All American pick. So yes, we are simpatico there as well.
All right. I'm gonna guess based on how you talked about her earlier, Hannah Hidalgo also on both of our second teams.
Hannah Hidalgo is also there. She wanted her own team. She wanted to fud around and find out, and it looks like she did. She's leading it by herself now, and kudos to her. She puts them in a good position heading into March Madness by making a decent run in the ACC tournament. Just electrifying offensively, electrifying defensively. She gambles a ton with her
Yeah.
recovery speed. She can make it up, but she really puts her teammates in precarious positions. But she's one of the best hoopers in all the country. So yeah, Hannah Hidalgo is there for me on my second team.
Yeah. And we don't know what happened in that locker room. We don't know why things went down the way that they did. But at the end of the day, Hannah Hidalgo stuck around and wanted to be the star on that team and has been every bit the stat sheet filler star. So she has more than lived up to her potential this year. And like I said, is dragging Notre Dame across the finish line right now. This is where things get interesting
Hmm.
because I've been listening to you now for a couple of months. I know how you feel about Jelani Cambridge and Kiki Rice.
You
And
do.
I do. And I know you love them both, but I'm going to guess you went Jelani Cambridge
You're
as
correct.
well. Okay.
You
I'm
know
three
me
for three.
well.
I am figuring you
Yes.
out, Michael. I'm figuring you out.
You are. Yeah, I put Jelani Cambridge on there. I wasn't sure because just to let everybody know, like we put these on here and we don't look until we start recording. We
Yeah.
don't want to know, like we'll talk like, hey, here's what we're gonna go over. We'll talk about this and everything. But I keep my picks on a notes app. And sometimes Melissa puts hers in a rundown sheet. Sometimes she doesn't because we want to have authentic responses to each other. So when I
Yeah.
looked there, I was like, I didn't know Jelani Cambridge was gonna be on Melissa's too. So I'm glad that you picked her because what a player. Like I already said, she reminds me of a young Kelsey Mitchell and just the way she plays, she's just so intense and just such a bucket. So, yes, Jelani's there, but that means I do not have Kiki Rice on mine.
Yeah.
But Melissa, you have Kiki on yours as well as another player to kind of round out your second team.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked so much about Kiki Rice and just she's not the person that you look at on that UCLA team very often and say, "Oh my gosh, what a stud," because there are so many freaking studs on that team. But to me, Kiki has been maybe the most consistent presence on a UCLA team that has so much star power and has been so successful. I just love her all around game, and I love how she impacts winning. She's averaging a career high 15 points a game. She's averaging a career high 6 rebounds a game. She's averaging near a career high 4.5 assists and 1.5 steals. She is doing so much so well for a UCLA team that I do think is going to win a national championship this year. And when I was going to say, like, there's probably needs to be a second person from UCLA on these first two teams. To me, I just think her all around ability to positively impact games is what had me give her the nod over some equally deserving players.
No, that's where I said there's 8 players I think deserve to be on there, and that's to me where I cut it off with Easy Fudd, Hannah Hidalgo, and Jelani Cambridge. And after that, I'm like, there are about 12 other players that you can make
Yeah,
an argument for. I think Kiki Rice is one of them. I think Gianna Neepkins, who I think is the most pro-ready player, senior, I think she could be there. You can make an argument for Audie Crooks if you wanted to. You can make an argument for Camille Pierre out of Louisville if you wanted to. But yeah, I love the Kiki Rice pick. Gabby Hawkes you could put there as well. I think
absolutely.
I still think Texas, just because I picked the beginning of the season, is my pick to win it all. But I think every bracket I do, I'm probably gonna have UCLA there. And a lot of it is the play of Kiki Rice in those Pac-12 All-Stars, they called them. To round out mine, I had Hannah Hidalgo, AZ Fudd, Jelani Cambridge, and I also had Joyce Edwards from South
Mm,
Carolina.
good pick.
One to show the Gamecocks some love there. She is just continuing to dominate. You talk about Sarah Strong having the highest win shares in all the country, which she does at 8.3 as of this recording. Joyce Edwards is top 10 there. She has 6.4, who is also tied with Kiki Rice and AZ Fudd. So fantastic picks there. Very deserving. Joyce has taken another step forward, just as kind of being that next, yeah, I'll say it. The next South Carolina Gamecock who's going to get a statue. It's going to be Joyce
Yeah.
Edwards. She's right there with Aja Wilson taking that kind of career path there. So shout out to her. Shout out to South Carolina. We do like your team. I promise. Not everybody hates South Carolina Gamecocks. And my last player on there, maybe this is surprising. I don't know, but you did mention them earlier, those standout sophomores from the University of Michigan. I'm going with Olivia Olson as my last player to make second team. It was very, very close. Like I said, I considered Audie Crooks, since we do have the Audie Crooks stat line of the week, which was kind of our breakout player of the week this week, if you haven't connected those dots yet. But instead, I am going to go with Olivia Olson. Just Side of Swords is fantastic. Mila Holloway is also great, but Olivia Olson is just kind of the person who runs that entire show there in Michigan. Want to give her a lot of credit in that sensational sophomore unit for the Michigan Wolverines. So now that you heard those last two picks, do you feel like they belong in that team? Would you have them third team? Am I kind of like
Yeah.
overselling them a little bit?
No, I think, and I haven't revealed my last pick either, so I gotta get to that
Oh,
one.
you
And
haven't? Oh, I'm
no,
so
I have
sorry.
not. No, no, you're good. So
Oh, goodness, I cut you
yeah.
off. I'm sorry.
No, 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 not, no, not at all. I wanted to transition in. As I'm listening to you talk about that, I'm realizing, yeah, not having a South Carolina player in the top 10 is probably not something that's going to happen. And I probably should have had either Joyce Edwards or Raven Johnson in my final spot. I love the Olivia Olson pick. I think that's great. I mean, I think she's a finalist for the, I can't remember if she's finalist for Naismith or Nancy Lieberman. I don't remember what she's finalist for, but she's finalist for something. She's a great player. Absolutely deserves recognition. I gave it to Reagan Beers, and that was kind of my little outside of the box pick. It probably should be Joyce Edwards, but I'm going to show Reagan some love because this Oklahoma team has very quietly been very, very good. We
Hmm.
saw them get their just butt handed to them by LSU, and so it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. They've gotten beat by LSU pretty badly both times that they've played them, but this is a team that has been really good, and Reagan Beers has been just so consistent with the Sooners here the last couple of years. 15 over almost 16 points a game, over 10 rebounds, averaging a double double. That team has some dynamic guards, including Aaliyah Chavez, but Reagan Beers is the straw that stirs the drink, and for a team that has really, I think, earned an opportunity to maybe be a Sweet 16 contender. They don't do that without her, and so that's why she's probably a third teamer in reality. But I wanted to show her a little bit of love and show that Oklahoma Sooners team a little bit of love.
I do like that. I like that pick. And there's a school you mentioned there that kind of stood out to me. That was LSU.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just going with no LSU on the first or second team, and that mainly is just looking like, how are we feeling about Flau'jae Johnson? Are we thinking
Yeah,
like
she should
third
be in the
team there? Are
mix.
we thinking
Yeah.
like honorable mention? So it just feels very weird, after having Anissa Morrow, after having Angel Reese, Flau'jae over the past couple of years, just not having LSU Tiger there, whether it be, I don't know, whether it be Flage, whether it be my Laser Full Wiley, there's a number of players you can look at, but yeah, I feel very, very good about our picks there. And Reagan Beers is just another reminder of how underrated Oklahoma is.
Yeah.
So fantastic pick. Glad they're getting some love. That was a fun exercise for our regular season awards. We're are minutes away from our interview with Lani White from the University of Utah. Before we get there, Melissa, we're coming up on Selection Sunday, like we said. Let's go over our top 16 before we send it home with an interview with Lani.
Yeah, let's do it. I think we both have said it already. So both of us have as the number one overall seed UCLA Bruins. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our top four is going to be the same too.
Yeah.
UCLA, UConn,
UConn,
Texas,
Texas,
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina. Yep. I think
Absolutely.
that I don't see any way it's not that. Like that, I think
Me
that's pretty
either.
much lock it in stone. And again, like I have a very weighted interest in where Texas lands because I don't know if they're going to put Texas and TCU both in Fort Worth, but I think Texas has absolutely earned the right to be a host team in the Fort Worth regional without a question.
Yeah, they lost those back-to-back games, and then they lost that game to Vanderbilt, and it felt like the sky was falling. It's like
Yeah,
these are all very good teams. Texas is losing to. I have some issues with them with their three-point shooting. We need Aaliyah
sure.
Crump and Jordan Lee out on
Yeah.
the floor at the same time. Vic, come on, come on. It's not benching and substitutions. You told us this. Just substitute them in. It'll be okay. So now here's where the fun begins. Let's look at 5, 6, 7, 8. Melissa, my number 5 team. I have Vanderbilt. I'm assuming you're in lockstep with me.
Yeah, I'm Vanderbilt number five as well.
Okay, then to round those out, I'm Duke, LSU, and Michigan.
Okay, Duke, LSU, Michigan. I'm gonna go LSU, Duke, Michigan.
Okay, that's fair. And again, I maybe I'm just on this Duke high all
As you should be.
season. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's just it feels really good. And again, if any of my college roommates are listening to this or anything, they're gonna be like, "Who the hell is this guy? He hates Duke with a passion." I get it, but Kara Lawson, I believe,
yeah,
I
she's great.
believe. Let's run it in March. Let's go, Duke. Let's go, Blue Devils. All right. So now here's where we get to 9, 10, 11, and 12. Melissa, who do you have up there first as your, I guess, top three seed it would be?
I get really conflicted here between Oklahoma State and Ohio State, or I mean Oklahoma and Ohio State. I'm gonna give Ohio State the slight nod and then go Oklahoma, and then I think Louisville is probably my next team.
And then
So, okay, this I gotta put, listen, here's the deal. So the AP rankings come out and they gave West Virginia a two-spot bump over TCU. And I understand that West Virginia beat TCU on Sunday and clearly looked like the better team throughout. But I also want to remind people that TCU beat West Virginia twice in the regular season. And there is something to be said for 3 games in 3 days when you're one of the oldest teams in the country. That starts to wear you down a little bit. Okay. It starts to wear you out. I know what it's like to be old. It's tough. So I really want to put TCU ahead of West Virginia. I still think they deserve to be ranked ahead of West Virginia. And I really want TCU to have a better seating. And you know what? Screw it. I can. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go TCU, West Virginia, and then I'm going to go Iowa.
TCU, West Virginia, then Iowa. Okay. Um, I think I'm a hater on Oklahoma, like we mentioned, because I have them lower on my list. I don't have them in my next bunch here.
Okay.
I have Louisville next. I
Okay.
have
I
them
have no
after
problem with
Michigan,
that.
9 overall. Just again, fantastic. We talk about sophomore class. Jeff Walls, fantastic coach, great job he's done there. I'm mad at myself for this next one. But I have Iowa there at number 10. And we mentioned
Oh,
that they were kind of being overrated, and we saw what
Iowa
happened
hater.
when
I'm an Iowa
UCLA
hater.
put boot to asses there, as we saw there. But yeah, I have Iowa there, followed by the Ohio State with Jelani Cambridge. And then I put that team up in West Virginia
Mhm.
next, the
Okay.
Mountaineers, 1 spot ahead of TCU.
Okay.
Yes, TCU did beat them twice. One of them was on a miracle buzzer beater. It counts by Marta
Still
Suarez.
counts.
It
Yeah,
still
but
counts. It
key
still
Marta
counts.
Suarez hater over here,
I
Michael,
know.
who hates
Uh,
Marta. So, I
uh,
mean, it's
Camila Cardoso hit a first ever 3-pointer against Tennessee, and guess what?
still
It
counts.
counted too.
Still
So,
counts.
yeah, I really did struggle going back and forth with WVU and TCU. I gave them the nod just because of the conference tournament. That's why I put them there. I have no issues with anybody putting TCU over WVU at all. And to round it out, my final three there, like I said, my top four seed would be TCU, followed by Oklahoma, Maryland, and UNC.
Yeah, I definitely think I have UNC next. I still just am not much of a Maryland believer. I hope they prove me wrong.
Same.
I don't hate, like, I'm not a hater. Like, I'm a full admitted Iowa hater. And again, no offense, people of Iowa. This has nothing to do with any players that currently or formerly played there. I think they're going to be one of the earliest host teams to lose. Like, I would be able to put that. I think they are going to be the first team that hosts to lose. I don't know when that will be. It could be in the Sweet 16. I just think they're the first one out. But Maryland, I don't trust them, but when they're good, they're really, really good. And after Maryland, God, like this is where I just feels like a jumbled mess, but I'm probably going North Carolina. Is that 16? I've lost the plot at this point. If it's not, my next one would probably be, I mean, shoot, let's go with like Minnesota or somebody just for giggles,
Minnesota, Kentucky, maybe Ole Miss. Shout out to
Kentucky.
Coach Yo.
Yeah.
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 Um,
I'm probably going Kentucky I will tell you, man, from like 14 to 20 this year, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. It's a
it
little bit of a
absolutely
crapshoot.
is.
Yeah.
It's
I think we know like the first 12 to 14 teams. I don't think there's any questions. And then it's going to be just vibes, man. Like, what is the committee feeling like next Sunday? That's really what it's going to be about.
And we'll see how the committee is feeling about that team out in Utah for the Utah Utes. As of right now, they're a popular team on the bubble, which is stickier than ever. But right now, they look like they're a team that might be one of the first four out or the one of the last four in, just depending on your feelings. So hopefully the committee goes with the vibes because I'll tell you what, Lani White's vibes are immaculate. She is wonderful. She sat down with me and Melissa to talk about going to Virginia Tech after being at Utah originally, then coming back to Utah, what she wants to achieve off the court once the ball stops bouncing, the added attention she's getting from the WNBA draft talk, and also with her sister being a very, very
Yeah.
talented singer. Would her sister be a better basketball player or would Lonnie be a better singer? We asked the hard hitting questions here. So we're going to toss it over to Lani White from the Utah Utes. Enjoy our conversation. We'll see you on the other side. And joining us now on the next woman up is a literal definition of a walking buck because she has such a quick release, has never met a 3-point shot that she hasn't fallen in love with. Ladies and gentlemen, Utah senior Lani White. Lani, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll get right into things here. I've been watching your game a lot ever since you kind of your freshman year under Lynn Roberts, but seeing your
Mhm.
game has from where it was your freshman and sophomore year till now has just really grown. You've exploded offensively with a higher usage rate and that aforementioned quick release that you have. What's been the
Mhm.
biggest reason for your breakout season, do you think, this year?
I honestly think my confidence has just grown tremendously. I think my first 2 years, I was super grateful to learn underneath great players like Alyssa Peely, Izzy Palmer, Deja Young, Kennedy McQueen, Jenna Johnson. As a freshman, obviously that year is the year that you're supposed to soak up like a sponge. And I think I explored, my option at Virginia Tech and grew as a player, but also greatly as a person. So I think my game has just grown truly because of my confidence and all of the great things I learned from those seniors above me, my freshman and sophomore year. So I'm super grateful for them. But yeah, I wouldn't be here today without probably those first 2 years for me.
Well,
You talked about how you grew in your confidence and leaving, and then you returned back to Utah. And we don't see that
Hmm.
happen very often.
Hmm.
How big of a role did Coach Pearson play in that and in taking over? Knowing you were going
Hmm.
to come back to a program that was going to be have your stamp on it.
Yeah, I think him getting that job was a huge decision factor for me. Coach Gavin and I, we joke around a lot, but we were really tight my first 2 years here. I sat in his office almost every day, and we talked about practice. We would talk about games. I would watch extra film. But I think him getting the coaching job was huge for me. But another big priority for me was coming back to a system that I knew, that I know I was going to have fun at, but also grow. The basketball is going to stop bouncing at some point, and I know Utah has a plethora of opportunities for me to grow as a person, academically, but also just for my future overall.
And you talked about your confidence being that one part of your game that you've saw grown, and you can see that whenever you're playing, you're just a high
Hmm.
volume shooter that lets it fly from behind the arc. But a lot of time you hear high volume shooters, just like, okay, like maybe percentage isn't good. No, no, yours is
Mhm.
still plus 40% clip, which is
Yeah.
great. And to reference our friend Hunter Cruz over at Bleacher Report for these
Mhm.
stats here, shooting 72.2% off of screen threes and 41.3% on spot up threes. So have you noticed like teams scheming you differently as the season's gone on this year?
Well, yes, I have. I mean, every good team, good staff is going to make adjustments according to the game plan. Um, I think recently I've seen a lot more pressure on me. I guess I am a threat, but luckily I have a great staff behind me and great teammates that are willing to work around the scouting report to, make adjustments ourselves, but also make adjustments to their defensive plan. I'm flattered that a lot of teams feel as if they need to face guard me. That's never been the case for me throughout my career. So it's super awesome. But yeah, throughout the Big 12 season, I've seen a lot of different coverages trying to stop me. But good thing I have good staff behind me.
Yeah, it's funny
Mhm.
whenever
Well,
whenever teams like thought they're going to get a year off when Gianna Neepkins transferred from Utah to UCLA, and then they're like,
Mhm.
okay, great, now we have another 3 point shooter that we
Yeah.
really have to just kind of scheme for
Yeah.
there.
I'm flattered.
well, you were a standout player in Southern California, playing in one of the top level leagues. How and
Mhm.
then a McDonald's West All American nominee as well. How
Mhm.
much did that top competition level that you played with and against in California kind of help you prepare for what you're facing day in and day out at the D1 level?
I think honestly, I think it helped me a lot. I played with a few great players at my high school. Brooke Dimitri from Stanford, but I also played against many great players. Hannah Steins, Ella Dean from UW, Kiki Iriafen. She went to one of my rivalry schools, plenty of great talent. Um, but me in high school, I think getting to play against the best it really teaches you a lot because I understood from a very young age that it takes more sacrifice and discipline to play great players, but also be a great player yourself. Um, Luckily, I also went to a really good high school with a great historically known coach, Coach Kiernan. And he, I think, helped my game tremendously as well because I had to learn to be a role player, but also be a leader and be a great teammate and be a scorer at that. But defense was his biggest thing. So, you weren't going to play unless defense was your thing. So I had to learn quickly. But yeah, I think growing up in California was a great experience for me personally, but also for my game.
Well, that Trinity
And
League is absolutely no joke, and being
Yeah, it
part of the
really isn't.
program you were a
Mhm.
part of it. Modern day is that definitely prepares you. It's almost like a
Yeah.
professional system at the high school
Oh,
level.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
whenever
Football
you're
is their
playing,
thing.
oh,
Yeah,
Sorry.
football is
yeah. The football
Football.
program there is, yeah, it's
Mhm.
legit.
Sorry to cut you off.
oh no, you're good. You're good. We're all about the conversation here. We like it.
Yep.
So whenever you're playing in a league like that, like when did you first hear the chatter about going Division One? And if you remember, do you know who your first offer letter was from?
Oh, wow. Dang. It's been some time. I apologize. I think my first letter might have been from University of Arizona. Might have been
Mhm.
my first letter. Actually, I take that back. I apologize. I had interest from San Diego, UC San Diego, which was super awesome because they were local, and my family was like, "Oh my god, like it'd be so cool if you were so close and stuff." But no, Division One had always been my dream. I mean, I had great parents that also played at the Division One level, so I knew the stars were way beyond, just in front of me. So I was shooting to be successful my entire life. But when I was younger, we used to go to UCLA games, the UCLA USC games. Like I dreamed to be on such a big stage like that when I was younger. So I always shot for the D1 level. And by the grace of God, I'm super grateful to be here. Mhm.
Well, you talked. It sounds like you had those goals pretty early, and I'm
Mhm.
sure there was a lot of effort, obviously, and a lot of work that went into accomplishing them. But as you
Yeah.
think about kind of your collegiate career and the time that you've spent now that you've reached that initial goal, what's the thing that you're most proud of your development? You've talked about your defense. You've talked about your confidence. Is there a
Mhm.
specific thing that you think, man, like if I had known then that I was going to be able to do this now, I would have been so proud of myself.
I think basketball wise, I think my mid range game is something that's
Mhm.
super, super big for me. It's basketball, right? That's the question.
Hey, you can
Okay.
take it however, whatever
Okay.
Yeah.
direction you
Sorry.
want.
I
But
just want to make, I'm sorry. I think mid-range game is super cool for me. But aside from the statistic things, I think being a leader
mm,
is super huge for me. I mean, not many people can say that they led a team, and it's not just myself. I have great teammates who also lead, but I think my energy and my charisma and kind of that, I don't know, that spark that I bring to my team fuels myself, but also fuels, the 17 people behind me. And every great leader knows that it doesn't start with the head coach. Players are just as important as the coaches. So for me, I think little Lonnie would look at Lonnie now and be like, dang, like she's pretty cool how she kind of carries that swagger, but also, feeds it into other people. So I think that's super cool.
I'm interested in you talk about being a leader, and it's very obvious in this
Mhm.
conversation that you lead with a great humility. Like that just
Mhm.
leaps off the page. Probably too much of a humility, if we're
Yeah.
being really
Thank you.
honest here.
Thank you.
What would your teammates say about you as a leader? What if they were told to describe how you lead this program and this team? What would they say about you?
I think first they'd say I'm a competitor through and through. I mean, I love a good competition, regardless of what it is. If I have to say, like, I'll get to the bus first before you do, or just, even the smallest things, I think they'd for sure say I'm a competitor. But if not, um, I think they know that I lead with that energy, and basketball is supposed to be a game that's fun. So I'm going to always try and make, bad practices happen. I'm still going to be cracking jokes, whether my coach likes it or not. Like smiles is number one thing for me, and energy is even bigger. So, um, I think the bad days become a lot brighter when, you have someone that's just playing games and patting you on the butt and, poking you in the sides. Like, I always want to be that charismatic leader. And I appreciate what you said about the humility, but um I want to always leave an impact on my teammates, and I want them to be like, oh, Lonnie wasn't a hard ass. Like she enjoyed what she did. So yeah.
Mm,
Hmm.
Melissa and I are both in markets for WNBA teams. I'm in Atlanta, and Melissa's in Dallas, Fort Worth,
Hmm.
and we spend a lot of time around the wings and the dream, and we know like what they look for is that competitiveness and that fire,
Yeah.
being that good teammate and everything like that. And your name is starting to rise up those ranks in WNBA draft talk. First round,
Hmm.
second round, you're seeing a lot of mocks out there. Have you heard any of that chatter? And if so, how have you kind of added that added attention from, people like me and Melissa asking you about it?
Hmm. To be quite honest with you, I'm just trying to be where my feet are. I haven't looked too far ahead. My dad played at the professional level, and when he was in college, he said he got too far ahead of himself, and he started thinking beyond where he was at the moment. And I think that greatly impacted his game in college. Um, so what I'm trying to do right now is just focus on our game on Saturday. Obviously, I mean I'm ever so grateful to have the opportunity and be in these conversations. Um, but I know personally, if I look too far ahead, I won't focus where I'm at now. So I mean, it's really cool, but again, I'm still in college. I don't even have my degree yet, guys. So yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
excited though. Mhm.
I mean, you talked about being a goal setter and how you knew so early on that you wanted
Mhm.
to play Division I basketball without forcing you to look ahead too much. Was when you
Mhm.
started your college basketball journey, did you think about what do I need to do to give myself an opportunity to get to that next level and to play in the pros?
Honestly, no. My Everyone, honestly, if you even ask Lynn Roberts, my goal was always academics first. I'm very
Mm,
academically driven. You guys may or may not know, but law school is like my number one priority right now. And I'm super focused on that. So right now I'm trying to focus on getting my degree and staying within my community at that, so I
mm.
can give myself a better, step into my career beyond basketball, because the ball is going to stop bouncing for everyone. And I'm really, really interested in our criminal justice system, and I'd love to make an impact there someday. Um, but yeah, high school, I knew I wanted to do school. I wanted to go to great colleges like the one that I'm at now. So yeah, I try not to stay too ahead, but yeah.
Look, I'm a high school teacher, so hearing you
Hmm.
talk about keeping your academics focused even while you play at the highest level and
Hmm.
you're competing for a bid in the postseason, all that is really cool to
Yeah.
hear. I didn't know you were interested in law school and that
Hmm.
was the post college plan. And you mentioned criminal justice. Is there's specific area of law you're interested in practicing or something that you're passionate about when it comes to criminal justice reform?
Yeah, I would love to go into the criminal field, of course. That would be number one for me. Prosecuting attorney. I mean, in a perfect world, that's what I'd like to do. But if not, I'd love to work family law. Would be nice.
Mm,
I just always want to be the voice for those who may not have one, or for those who may have been silenced. And being at a platform like that, my voice is to be heard, and I'd like to make an impact for those who may not be at the platform that can.
that's awesome. I love to hear that.
Thanks. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I absolutely love that. My day job, Lonnie, I work at a domestic violence coalition, and kind of the same thing. It's
Really?
something I'm
Yeah.
super passionate for, and just kind of showing up for those who aren't able to be showed up for and who have been let down too
Yeah.
many times. So I know
Yeah.
we're talking about basketball here, but genuinely just want to take a second and say I applaud the hell out of you for that. That is amazing to
Thank
hear.
you.
So
Thank you. No,
rooting for you as a
thank you
player,
to
rooting for you
you.
as a person. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
abs
thank you. That's tremendous. I mean, there's not many people like that out there that are willing to put themselves in the situation that you are in and make a difference for those who need change. So kudos to you. That's super awesome.
Yeah, in you too. I can't wait to see where your career takes you and your life
Hmm.
take you. And I know we're going to get into more of that here in a second, but for now
Yeah.
we'll shift back to basketball.
Yes.
And you
The
talked
less
about your
interesting topic.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's our favorite part. We love talking about like the people. Like it's always like okay, like they're used to talking about basketball and everything, but we enjoy
Hmm.
getting to know the person behind it. Because like the next
Right.
woman up is the catchy thing about going to WNBA, but it's more about the
Hmm.
people and like we've
Right.
become such fans of the humans that we've spoken to. So
Yeah.
it's just been fantastic. And you're I was hesitant to put this on the rundown because you're not your dad's daughter. You're your own person, and we know obviously
Correct.
your dad was drafted by
Hmm.
Detroit Pistons,
Hmm.
NBA, all that. But that's not the reason you are where you are. But
Yeah.
he has kind of navigated this part of his career, kind of like you are now with this journey.
Yeah.
What advice has he given you as you're like, hey, like I'm getting this attention for the W. I'm my
Hmm.
senior season. I don't have my degree yet. Law school's so big for me. Dad, what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, his biggest thing, like I said earlier, was just finishing out your season strong. I think one of his biggest regrets was not enjoying his last, couple games in college. But also he's greatly reminding me to keep my foot on the gas. Like, um, never leave the season with regret, wishing, oh, I wish I played harder, played better defense, and luckily for him, I mean, he played at the highest level for one of the best teams in the league at the time. So uh, he's given me a lot of advice, just, showcasing the little things that not many stats are showing, being a good teammate, standing behind your coach and being receptive to the coaching at that. But also charges, loose balls, little things that make energy plays for a team as a whole that may not show up on a stat sheet. So, but he's just telling me to stay consistent and keep grinding at it because, my senior season is almost done, but I have so much time in front of me and I can focus on the other stuff later. But right now, just got to be a competitor.
I love when players talk about doing the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. I'm a
Hmm.
coach too, and so you
Hmm.
always want to
Yeah.
convince your athletes that it's about more than the final score. But
Yeah.
nobody can deny that it's fun when you have one of those games where it just feels like the hoop is the ocean and everything's going in.
Correct.
And unfortunately
Correct.
for me, you had one of those games against my beloved Horned Frogs. And it seemed
Yes.
like, I mean, at first they were just giving you a lot of space, and then they tried to not give you any space, but it did not matter what defense they threw at you. You were knocking shots down.
Yeah.
Um, you never go like as a competitor, and it's obvious that you're a great competitor. You never go into a game thinking you're an underdog or thinking you don't have a
Hmm.
shot. But when you do pull off what the national media would call an upset, and you do so
Hmm.
so early in the Big 12 season, what can that kind of win do to propel you as an individual and propel your team through the grind of a conference season?
I think for us, it gave us a lot of confidence. It also showed some of our younger players, our freshmen that we had to call up, that anything is possible when you play your hardest. We always say, regardless of the game, whoever we're playing, we're down 10, whether
Mm,
that's the arena, whether that's elevation, whether that's referees, which are never a factor truly, but We
Don't
always
tell
want to
the fans
keep.
that. We
No,
want to
I
believe that it's the ref's fault, right? The refs have
I
an agenda.
apologize. I apologize. But no, we just we believe in the down 10 mindset always, whether we're at home, whether we're away. And it makes us have to play with that chip on our shoulder that
Mm.
it's gonna be us against the other team. It's never gonna be us against one another. And Coach Gavin, our standard is compete, fight, swing as hard as you can until you go down. And luckily for us that night, the rim was a lot bigger in our eyes than it was to our opponents, and it worked out in our
Yeah.
favor. Yeah, but you always want to be the tougher team regardless of the outcome.
Mhm.
And that night, I think we were the tougher team.
Oh,
And
unquestionably. It's hey, a win like that can propel you forward. A loss like
Yeah,
that, can
yeah,
refocus an opponent too. So
yeah,
I
for
mean, that
sure.
was truly one of the best shooting performances I've witnessed live
Yeah,
against a top defensive team.
thank
And you
you.
know what's really unfortunate? Just talking to you now, I like you so much. Like I just preferred getting to say, I don't like this kid. She's too good. And you're
Yeah,
just, it turns out you're just really a lovely human being
I
too. So it's really
appreciate that.
unfortunate.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
see, you're giving that energy. We're feeding off of it. We're buying into you, and like
Yeah.
you are a player who wears your heart on your sleeve. We see it in high
Mhm.
school. We see it like you finishing strong at the rim, getting that and one. You're very expressive. How was that
Mhm.
translated to just your teammates, maybe the younger teammates, kind of building that energy off of you that they see emanating from you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of my teammates would say like they don't hear me constantly. They get an and one, I'm the first one in their face.
Mhm.
Something bad happens, I'm the first one to give them a high five. So when I was younger and I made mistakes, I always appreciated that teammate that was like, "Hey, you're good." So the energy that I give off, for whether it's my performance or someone else's, I just want to make sure that I'm there for that teammate. But also, who doesn't like a good and one fist bump, pat on the butt? Everyone likes those energy plays, but everyone deserves a little bit of life filled into them, regardless of the moment. So, yeah, I think my energy is what impacts this team, but their energy impacts me just as much as I do them. So it's super awesome.
I feel like we're getting such a full picture of who you are as an athlete and as a person, but I'm hoping there's still something you haven't given us here. And if you could kind of say what one underrated aspect of your game is that your teammates or your
Oh,
coaches would mention.
oh, oh, that's a good question. No one's ever asked me anything like that. Underrated aspect. I think one thing my teammates will always say is there's somehow I'm always on the floor, regardless, diving on a loose ball, getting a charge, getting a rebound. I will die for this team, and that's the sacrifice that I know every team needs to have. And I hope my
Mm.
teammates would look at me and be like, "Yeah, Lonnie's on the floor, probably diving somewhere." Yeah, it used to be a running joke. I used to have to wear butt pads because my athletic trainer was like, "Dude, you're gonna hurt yourself at some point." But I was like, I'll do whatever because I'm willing to sacrifice for my teammates. So I think I would hope my coaches say that and my teammates would have my back on that one because I'm somewhere on the ground. I'm shocked I'm not on the ground now.
It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very Jordan
Good
Canada
answer.
esque kind of like
Mhm,
player. As soon as you vision that, I was like, okay, I see the JC right there.
mhm.
But somebody else I want to take a look at. I'm going to drop it in the chat here. We're going to put it in post also. But there's a photo on your Instagram when you graduated high school. It's you as a kid, maybe kindergarten with a cap and a gown on. What would
Yes.
you say to little Lonnie about, her journey to this point as you near the end of your college career into that next phase of your life?
Well, first off, I'd probably say I'm super proud of myself. I think coming from a family full of athletes, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, she's gonna go D1." Yeah, it's whatever. Like that's the standard, but not many people know how hard it really is.
Mm.
Um, there were a lot of nights that I didn't want to keep playing basketball. There were a lot of nights I didn't want to get extra shots up, but um, luckily I had great family members and teammates that were willing to get in the gym with me at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., come back at 8 o'clock. Like I think I probably wrung my parents dry for that. So first, I'd probably say I'm super proud of you, but also to other little girls out there that look like me and are wanting to be in the position that I'm in, I just say keep going because there's no dream that's too far out of reach. And anyone can do what we do. We make it look a lot easier than it is. But the grind it's not just effortless. It's not the glitz and glamour that we see on social media. It takes a lot
Mm.
more sacrifice. So It's a little Lonnie. Proud of you, kid, but we got a lot more work to do.
We had a chance to speak to Talia Scott a few weeks ago, and
Hmm.
she told us basketball is what I do. It's not who I am. And I
Yeah.
think we're getting very similar vibes in how you treat yourself and your current profession as
Hmm.
you close out your college career. How do you find that balance when basketball is obviously such a big part of your life and
Hmm.
a full-time job when you're a D1
Yeah.
athlete with obviously you have big goals and big academic responsibilities and so many other
Hmm.
things tugging at your time?
I think she said that perfectly. Basketball is it's not who we are, it's just what we do. And I mean, we're here at facilities from 5 a.m. to 1 o'clock, but I think we also have to find that great balance, between basketball and life. Luckily for me, I picked up a pretty cool hobby of golf. I don't know if either
Oh,
of you guys are
yeah.
big golfers, but
Bad
I
golfer, but not a big
Oh
golfer.
yeah,
right.
same,
No,
same.
you just say you're a golfer. You don't have to be good or bad. You just say you're a golfer.
Just a golfer.
Um, yes, correct. But I've found a lot of passion within other sports or other hobbies like that, but I think golf might be one of the most peaceful things. And obviously, there are some people out there that compete seriously. But for me, luckily, I can shank a ball into the woods and still have a good time. But I think I was saying this to actually one of my other teammates. I think golf is a lot like basketball because it's you have to do good by yourself for the betterment of everyone around you. Obviously, depending upon how you play, but yeah, I really like golf right now. So if you can't tell, I'm a big junkie.
What's your
Yeah,
what's your ball of choice? What's your favorite brand? What are you hitting?
Callaway.
Mm.
If you're watching this, I'm kidding.
Yeah, like, hit our girl up with a
Get that
sponsorship. Get this
NIL
girl an
money.
Yeah,
Let's
NIL
go.
deal for
Let's
sure.
go.
My
joking.
dad's a big golfer and has very strong opinions on things. I go
Mhm.
around and try not to lose an entire, three sleeves
Yeah,
of balls and 18 holes.
yeah,
That's kind of my
yeah,
golf
and
goal.
they're pretty expensive.
Oh, they're
If
so
you ask
expensive.
me, I usually go through boxes in a round.
We're,
So
we're gonna get you hooked up. We're gonna get
yeah,
Callaway to hook you up. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. And for now, we're going to, until we get that NIL deal for you there, Lonnie, we're going to go with a rapid fire session to end this
Okay,
podcast. Sound good to you?
let's do it. Sounds great. I'm ready for it.
All right. We have some fun ones here. We'll put you in the hot seat.
Alrighty.
First, what is a common misconception about Utah?
Oh, um, it's boring. It's not boring out here at all. If you're an outdoorsy person, this place is perfect for you. Hmm. Hmm.
We call this podcast the next woman up. You're obviously the next woman up right now, but who's somebody on your team that we should be watching that's the next woman up?
Hmm. LA Sneed, I think that kid has a motor like anyone else. I mean, she plays hard, and there's not many point guards out there that can do what LA does. I mean, she can facilitate, but that kid can score, and you do not want to be on offense against her defensively because she got hand. We call her the mosquito. I freaking hate it. She got hands like, dude. Yeah, LA Sneed. Look out for her.
Okay. She's the mosquito. If your teammates were to give you a nickname, what would that nickname be?
They call me the EpiPen,
The
and
EpiPen.
the
Is an
reason the
excellent
reason
nickname.
is because I have a lot of allergies. Not many people know that. But I actually have EpiPens, but the epinephrine is supposed to give you that adrenaline if
Hmm.
something were to go wrong. So my nickname is the EpiPen on the team.
I
That
love that
is
so much. That
Yeah.
that
is
might be
such
the
a good
best and
nickname.
worst nickname I've ever heard of any
Yeah, I'll
basketball
take that.
player
That's fine.
forever.
I'll
But
take that.
instant adrenaline. I love that. But
Yeah,
also, I'm so sorry you have to deal with those
it's
allergies.
fine. Don't worry about it.
When you look ahead to whatever the next step in your career is, and this was initially set up as a WNBA question, but I feel like I have to give you both options. Whether your
Hmm.
next step is professional basketball or law school,
Hmm.
what are the place that drafts you next getting?
Oh, they're getting a hard worker, that's for sure. But definitely someone who's a student of the game, regardless of that's law or basketball. But I just want to learn from the greats that are above me because they're in the position that they're in for the grind that they had. So I'm going to be diligent with the work that I put in, willing to learn, and also willing to fulfill whatever role is needed of me. Yeah, but I'm excited for the next step.
And one thing I was excited about, Lonnie, is whenever you're at Virginia Tech, during warmups, you had a half court shot. You
Mhm.
say, quote, "This one is for you, mom," before the game. I need you to be honest. How big of a flex was that where you could just give that look and everybody surrounded you when it happened?
It was a huge flex, and I think my teammates celebrated that much more because I've done it a few times and have not made it. Um, and what's funny about that
You're
day
not
is
supposed to reveal that.
I know I sorry, mom. But luckily my mom was in the stands during that warm up that day. So I did it and she was like, that was for me, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, could you tell? Everyone got pretty excited. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Awesome.
that.
Hmm.
All right, we got a couple of music and a food theme question here to close it out because music's a
Okay.
pretty important part of your family and your life. Who's an
Hmm.
artist on your playlist that might surprise people?
First, gotta say, Lani White. Go listen to my sister. She makes music. But I like a lot of country. Not many people know that. Luke Combs, number one for me for sure. Luke Combs.
Love
Hmm.
that. And
Hmm.
I also know that you were at Coachella a few
Hmm.
years back. Who were your top three acts that you got to see? I know Frank Ocean was one of them, right?
Frank Ocean was definitely number one. I think Bad Bunny was there that year. He
Benito.
was, yes, Benito. He was super good. And Labyrinth, he made the soundtrack
Oh,
for the show Euphoria on HBO.
yeah.
So that was super cool because it was very artsy and he brought a lot of cultures together and Zendaya came out. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What a moment.
Hmm.
That would do it. That would do it.
Yeah.
Move away from music for just a second here. What's the go-to cheat meal?
Chipotle. Is that even a cheat meal?
We call that a
Chipotle.
well-balanced meal, I think, right? Like
Okay.
that's got some high protein. You know, when
Yeah,
you're
but
when
if
you're
you
really like the I need to feel better, or I need to soothe myself with food, or I just want
oh
to eat something fun.
yeah, yeah. In and Out is pretty good. In and Out might be
Oh,
my
good call.
go-to.
Yep.
God,
Okay.
you can't get enough of it.
No, and like people need to understand that In and Out is elite. You just got to get the fries well done. And it's also
Correct.
better.
Oh my
It's
God,
also
not many
better on
people
the
know
West
that.
Coast. No, you have to get because they're
Well
fresh. You got to
done.
fry them twice.
Correct.
And
Correct.
also, you have to get In and Out on the West Coast because the produce isn't good the farther east you move, and that makes all of
Correct.
the difference. Is the fresh produce. I wish more people
West
understood
Coast,
this.
best coast.
West
West
Coast,
Coast,
best
best
coast
coast.
forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, we have all the NIL deal potentials going on right now. I'll tell you
I
that.
want the In and Out NIL
Just
deal. Let's be
plugging
really
it in.
honest.
Right. All right. And the last one for you, you kind of mentioned it earlier about your sister, Aliana
Mhm.
White.
Yeah.
So here's what I have written down. Your sister's the ultra talented musician, Aliana White. If
Hmm.
you two switch passions, would you be a better musician or would she be a better hooper?
I think she'd be a better basketball player. I am close to tone deaf. Can't hit a note to save my life. But my sister is actually super athletic. She played a lot of sports. She played ice hockey with boys growing up. She played basketball for our JV team in high school, lacrosse, softball. That kid can do it all. I honestly think she'd outdo me by a landslide. By a landslide.
All right. It sounds
Mhm.
like Aliana White is the next woman up in music and maybe sports also. And you are the
Maybe.
next woman up here for basketball, for life, for law school. Just so energetic, fantastic. Lonnie White, thank you so much for taking some time and chatting with us today. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
And that was Lonnie White. Thank you so much for joining us. Melissa, I have no doubt that whether it be Lonnie or her sister, both of them could crush me at karaoke or basketball. But honestly, Lonnie, like I said at the beginning of the program, one of the favorite people I've ever spoken to, just really, really rooting for her as a human, whether she goes WNBA, whether she wants to go to law school, like she mentioned, just a fantastic person. And yeah, like we say all the time, we have a new player to root for here because it's always great chatting with these people.
Listen, as talented as the White sisters are, I'm still taking them in karaoke. Like I can't sing a lick, but my karaoke skills are unmatched. So I'm a real performer, you know, even if I'm not a good singer. Yeah, Lonnie's awesome, and I think it's really what I love now is that we're in an era where these women have the opportunity to choose what they want to do. She doesn't have to go professional. She doesn't want to. If she does, there's going to be money and opportunity for her there. She wants to go play for a couple of years and then go to law school. Clearly, she's put herself in a great position for that. And I bet her law school entry essays would be, her application essays would be pretty dang good. So just an awesome person, awesome human. I think she's definitely going to have an opportunity at the next level. I think she could be a late third round pick or definitely a camp invite. But I think if anybody gets her in their gym, they're going to fall in love with her as a person and find a reason to want her to be a part of what what they're doing. So whatever's next for you, Lani, just know that we'll be rooting for you for sure. I hope we get to see her hoop a little bit more. I'd love to see her hoop, but at the end of the day, I hope that she gets to live her dreams out, whatever those might end up being here come the next month. And I hope that includes getting to play a couple more games in March Madness.
Yeah, she'd love to see it. She talked about her dad, former NBA player Rodney White. The advice that he gave is just kind of those little things, that energy that he brings in, that energy just kind of pops off the screen with her, as you were able to see. So yeah, it was great chatting with her, and Melissa, it was great chatting with you, because next time we meet here, we're going to know what the field looks like. We're going to know what your travel situation is.
Yeah.
We're going to know where TCU is. We're going to know what seed Oregon is as they make a push for their national championship that we know is going to happen. Shout out Kelly Graves. We're going to see if Lani White's going to be playing some more basketball, and we're going to see if Maggie Dugan is going to be able to wrap up her collegiate career on a high. But for now, we're going to leave you on a high, and we will see you here next Tuesday with another episode of The Next Woman Up.